April 28, 1908, LaPorte, Indiana. A massive fire destroys a farmhouse in the middle of the night. When firefighters searched the ruins, they found 4 bodies, a woman and 3 children, all dead. But then they started digging in the yard. They found bodies, dozens of them, buried all over the property. Men who had come to marry the woman who owned the farm. Men who brought their life savings with them. Men who were never seen again. The woman's name was Belle Gunness. The newspapers called her Lady Bluebeard and the Black Widow of LaPorte. She had been placing ads in Lonely Hearts columns for years. Wealthy widow seeking husband. Men came from all over America. They brought money. They brought hope. And Belle killed them all. But here's the most terrifying part. The body found in the fire wasn't Belle. She had faked her own death and escaped. She was never caught, never seen again. This is the story of America's most prolific female serial killer. A woman who killed at least 40 people, possibly more, and got away with it. Belle Gunness was born Brynhild Paulsdatter Sturseth in Norway in 1859. She immigrated to America in 1881, looking for a better life. She changed her name to Belle to sound more American. She was a large woman, nearly 6 feet tall and over 200 pounds, strong, physically powerful. In 1884, she married Mad Sorensen in Chicago. They opened a confectionery shop together. The shop burned down, insurance paid out. They bought a house. That house burned down too. Insurance paid out again. Belle was learning a pattern. Fire equals money. But fire wasn't the only way Belle made money from death. Belle and Mads had 4 children together. 2 died in infancy under suspicious circumstances. Both had life insurance policies. Both paid out. Then, in 1900, Mads himself died. It was July 30th, the only day 2 of his life insurance policies overlapped. The timing was perfect. The doctor said it was heart failure, but neighbors whispered it was poison. Strychnine in his coffee. Belle collected $8,500 in insurance money, worth over $300,000 today. She was a wealthy widow now, and she was just getting started. In 1901, Belle moved to LaPorte, Indiana. She bought a large farm on the outskirts of town, 48 acres, isolated, private, perfect for what she was planning. Belle married again in 1902, a man named Peter Gunness. He was a local butcher. He had money. 8 months later, Peter was dead. A heavy meat grinder fell from a shelf and crushed his skull while he slept. Suspicious? Absolutely. But Belle's daughter Jenny told police she saw it happen. It was an accident. Belle collected another insurance payout. Now she was truly wealthy, but Belle wanted more. She started placing ads in Norwegian-language newspapers across the Midwest. Comely widow who owns a large farm seeks kind and reliable husband. Men responded. Dozens of them. They came from Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, Illinois. Norwegian immigrants. Lonely men. Men with life savings. Belle would correspond with them for months, build trust. Then she'd invite them to visit the farm. She had one requirement. Bring all your money, cash. We're going to start our new life together. They came. They arrived at the farm with suitcases full of cash, and they never left. Belle had a system, a routine. A man would arrive at the farm. Belle would welcome him warmly, cook him a big dinner, give him coffee. Sometimes the coffee was poisoned with strychnine. If the poison didn't work, Belle would wait until the man fell asleep. Then she'd kill him with an axe or a cleaver, quick, efficient. She was a strong woman. It wasn't difficult. Then came the disposal. Belle would butcher the bodies like livestock. She'd learned from her late husband Peter, the butcher. Cut them into pieces, easier to bury. She'd dig holes all over her property. In the hog pen, in the garden, near the chicken coop. She buried them in quicklime to speed decomposition. Sometimes she fed parts to her pigs. Her children helped. They watched. They learned to keep quiet. The next day, Belle would go to the bank and cash the victims' checks. She'd forge signatures. She'd tell the bank the man had decided to move to California. No one suspected anything. Then she'd place another ad. Find another victim. This went on for years. At least 40 men disappeared, possibly more. Some estimates say 100. Belle Gunness was running a murder farm, and no one knew. In 1908, Belle hired a handyman named Ray Lamphere. He did odd jobs around the farm. He helped with the heavy work. Ray fell in love with Belle, but Belle didn't want him. She wanted his silence. In early 1908, Belle fired Ray. He was furious. He started telling people in town about strange things he'd seen on the farm, suspicious activities, men arriving and never leaving. Belle panicked. She went to the police and accused Ray of threatening her. She said he was going to burn down her house. Then, on April 28, 1908, Belle's house burned to the ground. Firefighters found 4 bodies in the ruins, 3 children, and a woman. The woman's body was headless and much smaller than Belle, but the children were Belle's, so police assumed the woman was Belle too. Ray Lamphere was arrested for arson and murder. He insisted he didn't do it. He said Belle did it herself. Then the police started digging in the yard. They found bodies buried everywhere, at least 40 bodies, maybe more. Arms, legs, torsos, skulls. The farm was a graveyard. The nation was horrified. This was the worst case of serial murder in American history. But was Belle really dead? The headless body in the fire was much smaller than Belle, only 5'3" and 150 pounds. Belle was nearly 6 feet tall and over 200 pounds. The head was never found. Convenient. Belle's false teeth were found in the rubble. But they weren't in the body. They were just lying there, planted. Investigators realized the truth. Belle had killed another woman, planted her body in the house, and burned it down to fake her own death. Ray Lamphere was convicted of arson, but not murder. Before he died in prison in 1909, he confessed to his lawyer, Belle was alive. She had asked him to help burn the house. She had promised him money. She had escaped with a fortune, possibly $100,000 in cash and securities. Sightings of Belle were reported for decades, in Mississippi, in California, in Oklahoma, but none were ever confirmed. Belle Gunness was never caught, never brought to justice. She killed at least 40 people, possibly 100. She murdered for money without remorse for years, and she got away with it all. To this day, her fate remains unknown. The Black Widow of LaPorte vanished into history.